Hello and welcome to this Codebuddies Hangout. Codebuddies is a global community of code learners who help each other through conversations on Slack and peer-to-peer organized study groups and virtual hangouts. You can see some of the community channels here. Link to the Slack, the community forum, GitHub, Medium blog, and YouTube channels. The main way Codebuddies community collaborate is through these hangouts. And there's quite a number of these hangouts on a regular basis, including the one you're watching now. And there's a whole bunch of study groups for almost any topic you could be interested in, mainly technology related. We've got everything from interview practice, Python, Elixir, Go, Java, Rust, GitHub, CSS, computer science, math, PHP, game development, AWS, pedagogy of code. Quite a number, and that list keeps expanding as you load more. So there's something for about everyone. A lot of these groups have pretty good number of people in there, and with recent activity. Today we'll be working on a continuation of a project we've been building using Python, Django, and the Wagtail content management system. We're rebuilding a website for the Western Friend Organization. It's a magazine publication. They've been producing newsletter and magazine going back to 1929 for Quakers in the Western United States. The current website is built with Drupal, and we're working on porting it over to Wagtail. We've been focusing in on the main component of the website, the magazine, which consists of magazine issues and magazine articles that are grouped into sections. The source code of this project can be found on GitHub. And we've been trying to coordinate now a little bit more organized by breaking down the tasks, the GitHub issues. That way I could track project and open pull requests against an issue and just make note of things as they occur to me. That way I don't have to remember everything. It's kind of like our big to-do list. So with that said, today we'll work on a task. Let me just double check here. Let's go ahead and start up the code base. Check our program. Probably going to get an error here. Nope, no errors. Okay. Run master branch. I'll run this code real quick just so you can take a look at where we're at. If you haven't followed along with the previous tutorials, so to speak, the more like collaborative sessions, but in a way they're also tutorials, but primarily it's me tutoring myself on how to build websites with mainly Wagtail, because it handles a lot of things automatically, so I haven't had to do a whole lot of conventional Django things, although there's definitely Django code here. This is Wagtail is built on Django and Python. So it's kind of like my learning journey, but also collaborating with friends and people who decide to join the Codebuddies Hangout. So if you're watching along this live stream on YouTube, I'm going to be taking a look at the chat and try to respond to your messages if they, as I see them. And if you want to join the Hangout, go over to codebuddies.org, click on Hangouts, and you can jump in right here. I should probably have that as an overlay on the screen. Okay, so The resources we're drawing from mainly are Python, which can be found at python.org, Django, which can be found at djangoproject.com, and Wagtail, which can be found at wagtail.io. And I'm going to go ahead and leave the Wagtail docs open because I'm really sure that we'll have to be coming back here in a moment. So what we've got so far for the previous weeks is we have the front page of the website starting to come together. You can see the little Wagtail icon here. That gets us over to the Wagtail admin. Wagtail admin is very nice in my opinion. It's a lot like WordPress. It's very well designed, aesthetically pleasing, functional. To navigate through your content hierarchy with ease. Get to a specific article, edit it. So the main thing that Wagtail leaves to the site builder is the front end code. Last week, last Hangout, we just did a small tweak to get Bootstrap framework added to the site, so it's just a little more aesthetically pleasing than the plain HTML. We added this navigation bar so that we can get to the magazine section, check out the latest issues of the magazine, and any articles relating to those magazine issues. So there's none relating to On Mixture, but On Children has a few articles. So again, we're kind of building out this website. We're using it as our reference implementation. I had thought today we could work on sort of a featured articles section, but on the home page. That way our home page will have the current issue and featured articles. So it'll pretty much be on par with what we have with the current website. It's got a little editable text area right here where we can put in some text through the Wagtail admin UI. And shows the current issue as well as featured issues. So let's go ahead and do that. And while we're here, I'm going to add a quick issue that I remembered. And just double checking that it's not there. So when I go to the magazine, page, oh, there's the magazine's title there. Yeah, it's actually the home page. When I'm at the home page and I edit this page, there's a title field. And right now the text is home. But when I view this live, how do I just jump there? Like that. We're not actually displaying the title field. So that's a quick low-hanging fruit issue. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Now this is good. Submit a new issue and go to a couple of labels. Enhancement, good first issue, help wanted, homepage. So this is kind of a low-hanging fruit. It's really trivial. I might end up doing it in the course of this Hangout, but one thing that's pretty cool is when you tag these GitHub issues with good first issue and help wanted, I think it propagates it out to some community channels, and there are some eager learners who will take up these tasks. So any open source project, it's really good to use those labels. They're standardized in that sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back here. These archive and recent issues are going to be pretty nice too. They'll require just a little bit more content, a little more boilerplate content, but I think they should be feasible as well. Let's go ahead and add this featured articles section to the homepage. And what we'll draw on, let me go, oh, actually, this is not linking to the content. That's funny. Okay, so that's an omission. Let's go ahead and add that as an issue. Oops. Current issue currently displays on homepage. These will be H2s. I'll do this as a kind of definition of done. That works. And this is pretty much a low-hanging fruit as well. Because the issue is already in the template data context. So there's no wiring necessary now. It's just a matter of getting those properties, the page URL, and making an anchor tag. Probably around like this whole div even would be fine. Or putting these in a div and making an anchor tag or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe could even be an opportunity to introduce a bootstrap panel. But let's see how this featured articles section comes into play here. So we're not going to have to edit the base HTML. What we're going to do is take a look at the magazine, and we're going to be in the home. So here's the homepage model. There's only one homepage instance, but you still have to define it as a model. Here's where I'm getting these IDE errors. I added a linter or a type hinting plugin. It's throwing these errors now. But anyway, for MyPy, I want to be able to start looking at type annotations and seeing how those affect the development process and how they improve it. So in the magazine model, I'll go to an issue here with featured articles. So this one has some featured articles. When I edit this page, Wagtail gives us this really cool interface. It's a little hidden behind this, unfortunately, but where you can basically link, refer to any other kind of content pages, any number of instances, and change the ordering. I mean, it's just super clean and very simple to use. And that gives the kind of curator control over which articles display and in what order they display. In this case, the magazine editor. So we're going to just replicate this featured articles from the magazine issue. So let's go ahead and find it. What we have to do, since there are many magazine issues and many articles, and one magazine issue can link to multiple articles, and one article could be featured on multiple magazine issues. The type of relationship is called a many-to-many. And to model those, we usually have to have an intermediary table or class in the Django ORM. So I'm really going to be copying and pasting this code, but I'd like to type it to get that muscle memory. And this basically joins an issue with an article. In our implementation, we're going to join the home page, which there's only one instance, but we have to just have this wiring with an article. And I'll have to use this notation in string with the app name. Because for some reason that didn't work previously. It lets me use the class here, but not here. The parental key, I guess, has to have the app name regardless if you're in the same app. All right, so let's go ahead and join this. We'll use the same naming convention. So this will be home page, featured article, and these models are singular because you're really linking one and one here. So home page, featured article. Let's go ahead and define that. If you notice, the previous model inherits from orderable, which is not imported here. Might be that import orderable model from Wagtail core models. So we can take a quick look at the documentation for this. Wagtail. Just really good to kind of peek under the hood as we're building this stuff out, so we get a deeper understanding of Wagtail. It's, you know, being fully open source, it allows us to do that. That way we're more capable developers, and we're capable of extending Wagtail core if we ever have the opportunity. So database fields, page. All right, this is an abstract class that essentially the main difference here, I believe it inherits just from the page model. Control B there. I should put a little keyboard shortcut indicator. Yeah, actually it's inheriting from Django models. It's a plain model. The only fields it has is this sort order, the only one it exposes in the documentation. And somehow it's got a sort order field. So this must be, I'm not sure why this is abstract tree ordering a sort order. Oh, it's using the meta Django meta ordering attribute, which allows you to order by multiple fields. So it's just a wrapper basically around Django model using the ordering and predefining a sort order field. So it's done in a conventional way. And they use it, it's an integer, so that means everything just has it's either 1 or 0, index, or possibly could have negative. I don't know how that works underneath the thing. So by inheriting that, that's just how it's working on, sort of underneath the hood. Let's see now. We need home page attribute on the model. This was, let me double check here, it was a parental key. Imported. Import model cluster fields, parental key, foreign key. That's pretty cool. Let's check that one out. Might not be well documented here, but if I hit Control B again on Linux, it's essentially inheriting from a foreign key type relationship. but it's treating hierarchical. And it's using this clusterable model from the model cluster. I believe it's a library. Huh. So now we're 2 layers deep. It extends the standard model constructor to allow a child object lists to be passed in via quarks, keyword arguments. Well, that's about as deep as I want to get right now, but it's pretty cool to be able to check this stuff out. And there's not a whole lot of code to it. So I'm sure if we just took our time, we would have, be able to get to an understanding here. All right, cool. So back to the home models. So we have this parental key. Waiting Pepe. No new line, end of file. Okay. This one takes a string, app name. So we have 2 apps in this project. The home app, which was the default one that Wagtail created, and the magazine app. So we're in the home app, but I recall from last time that I believe we have to, with the parental key, do it like this. Home. Let me see. Can we get a doc string for that? What's the, no, that's not it. And we're just gonna grab the home page. I'm not sure in PyCharm, excuse me, how to view the doc strings for these. There's probably a keyboard shortcut for that, or just jumping to the source, but doesn't have a doc string. And it's not really in the documentation. And I could be mistaken here, but I'm pretty sure that's a valid issue, and they can easily close it if it's invalid. All right, so we got this home page relationship there. So I just want to know if I have to put that as a string, so I'm looking for docs on this. Where are we going? Where are we going? So I don't need this model clusters field anymore. Maybe they assume that since you can dig to the inherited docs, that's good enough, but I don't believe so. So null is true, undelete models cascade. This means that we don't have to have any featured articles. And that, well, if you delete the home page, it will also delete this homepage featured article instance. I believe that's what that means. Related name means from the home page, what are we going to call these articles? They're featured. So in other words, we can have a homepage instance at hand, which we're only having one instance, and say, page dot featured articles, and that'll get us over into this class instance, and from there we'll need to go into the actual articles field and grab those. I think you can write a helper so that you don't have to do double dot traversal. There's a phrase for that. I don't remember what it's called. So let's find it. I believe this is just models foreign key. Double check. Yeah, and for the foreign key, you just refer to the model class. We're there. We're inside it now. Which is magazine article. Let's see if PyCharm can resolve this one for me. Doesn't look like it. So essentially, I'm going to say from magazine models, import magazine article. Oh. There we go. Got them both now in scope. Yes, now the other fields here on this foreign key. That's not the foreign key. This foreign key. Same thing. It's null because I didn't want to specify the defaults. I don't know what to even put for the default. So, but this models cascade, basically the same thing is up here. But if you delete the article, it'll delete the instance of this magazine issue featured article. So that article will no longer be linked to the, ours as a homepage. And related name plus. This I see a lot. I'm not sure how that's really used. I think it's similar here. So I've just been following that in any case. So null is true. On delete. Cascade. And whoops. The name equals plus. And the last thing we need to do is give this a panel in the user interface. And since this is an orderable field, it's not a regular Wagtail page, we just define panels equals an array of field panels. And the field should be page. I don't have a really strong convention for double and single quotes. I'm just kind of sort of following the conventions now. I'm not even following any conventions here. So let's just put these all as single quotes for consistency. But if anyone has any advice on that, it's a small detail, but it would be good to have some sort of meaning to that. All right, cool. So now we've defined a new model. We'll run migrations here in just a second. I think the other part, this one should resolve itself in a moment. The other part is linking it to the homepage so that this will show up on the homepage. So what we did on the magazine issue featured article is on the magazine issue model, we added a new content panel, which is an inline panel. And what a Wagtail inline panel does is it allows you to inline a model form so that you can build models of other models like composite models or relationship selectors in this case. So let's just double check the docs for that. probably explain it better than I could. So this panel allows for the creation of a cluster of related objects over a join to a separate model, such as a list of related links or slides to an image carousel. You could also think of it as like pages in a book. So you've got the main model, and you can add one or more other model instances. Cool. It's powerful but complex. Let's skip the coverage for now. Very cool. Oh, wow. They do have a whole chapter on it. Well, a whole, yeah. Pretty decent one. Section of a chapter, panels. So we're going to follow that same thing. On the homepage, we're going to add an inline panel, calling it featured articles, giving heading and help text. So back on the homepage, content panels. Import that for us. Wagtail admin edit handlers. Yep, got it. Clean import syntax. So the first argument was the name of the relationship, the related name here, I believe. Yeah. So you have to have already defined your second class, or you have to define it in order for this to work. Then you can put the title. Well, there's help text. What was the other one? Heading. Yeah. So this one kind of just falling back to single quotes for everything now. And you see those strings are double quoted. That came from the docs. I wish I had a rhyme or reason for this. All right. So I might need to, it looks like it's still running, is it? Let me just see if that arrow will go away if I rerun it. There we go, yeah. I need to run the migrations. Yeah, that's kind of weird. You create a new Django project, something that it gets wired up in here where you can just type the command directly rather than having to type, Python managed by, or just even, that might be part of the problem. Nope, yeah, it's not gonna work. All right, so anyway, we'll do manage by, which I've been doing the whole time. We'll migrate it. I need to add those into the vision control. I noticed that by default, they're not being added, and it's not prompting me when I make those by the command line. Let me make sure it works, though, before I commit to that. So we're on the home page. I'm editing it, and now I should have featured articles section. Select one or more articles. And it's a little bit squeezed there, but now it looks okay. Huh. No, I did something wrong because it's not working out. I don't think it's a JavaScript thing. I believe I just have to look closer at the code. Okay. Could have something to do with this import magazine article. Oh, actually, this is the problem. All right, this doesn't require a migration. It's just changing the meta. Yeah, there we go. Now it's going to let me select from articles. Yay. This is interesting since there's only 4 articles. Just give me a drop down select. All right, so let's go ahead and publish that. Now, let's go ahead and get that to display in the template. Open and pull request. I'll commit this, push this, open and pull request, close the issue, and see what time it is at that point. This is kind of interesting too. Wagtail has built-in multi-site support. And by default, it creates that home page. That might be kind of handy at some point. Okay, so we got that migration created. I can commit that it worked. And I need to remember to check that box. And let me double check here. Now, by default, Wagtail will wire up your models and at least this model and any template that follows the model name. We don't need a specific model for this homepage featured article, probably. Although, no, because we're not going to display it on its own page. On the home page, so we've got a template named home_page that just takes that, and Wagtail does things magically. And so it's going to check if there's a current issue. And let's also do the same check if featured articles. What I want to do is say this featured article, let's say, let's say H3. I want to do this featured article.title. The problem what I learned last time we did this is that featured article is actually going to refer to this instance of home page featured article. It doesn't have a title attribute. We have to reach into the articles. But I believe if I just define a model method here, oh, that needs to be singular. Dang it. Now single. All right, so let's run that. Darn it. Bummer. Here's what I'm going to delete that migration. Delete. I hope this is not going to screw things up. probably going to bork the site in the database. No, it didn't work. Shoot. Oh, now you get to watch me figure this out. Oh, and that's just not even the problem. Here we go. Try this again. Make migrations. Migrate. Article. All right, and I'll do it. Commit that, but I'm going to amend the commit to the previous one. I'm going to take off that. Yeah. Article singular. Migrations the same. It's kind of ghosted. But difference being, well, everything's new now. What's this? Delete and then add. Okay, cool. Amending commit, add featured articles mod. Good thing I caught that quick. All right. So the homepage, I want to have the featured article, which is the instance I want to reach just one dot into the title. There's a word for that I'm reading. They use it in the 2 Scoops of Django book, which I don't have on my desk right now, but I was reading it on the train. And essentially all you do is you define a model property, calling it the title in this case. Let's see, I'm going to use a decorator first. Let me see if it'll change it. Self. I believe that should work because article by default everything has a title. Let's try it out. We'll see that it's iterating over that featured articles array, which has one item in there. Back to the home page. View live. I edited it. Did I forget to save? Edit this page. There we go. Home page, featured article ID. Oh man, that's a really confusing error. It's probably obvious to somebody. So the home page, featured article. Let's try without this and see if it just goes away. And all right. Oh. no underscore there. URLs, decorators. Trying to get something higher level here. Cursor execute. No such column. Did I not migrate it? Maybe that's the problem. Oh, there's my pie. Well, let's try that. Okay, so yeah, learning a little bit about Django migrations. Yeah, when I applied the migration previously that had the error, the pluralized articles field name, I needed to roll it back, unapply it, so that the correct migration would take effect. That's good to know. Okay. And we need to add a featured article now. A couple of them. Or let's just start with one. Publish. Now I know it wasn't a problem of this property. Whoops. Add that back and view the home page live. And nothing. Homepage template. If featured articles. Oh, right. The other thing is I need to do something like all. This is a query set. So if there's, grab them all, and if more than 0 exists, it's truthy. That's what we need at least on the, let me double check. In the magazine template, the magazine issue, feature. Oh, okay, you just access the, so this is the query set and the count property directly. Okay, let's see if this works. No. If featured articles count. And we have to do it relative to the page. Small details, but yeah, everything else is, so I have to refer to the page instance. One thing that would make this a little cleaner is if I could use with page. I think you can do that with page, and then this whole context would have the page in there. And this will now be again, the instance of the homepage featured article class. Okay, well, right, this is a little bit better. Deferring related manager object is not iterable. All right, let's take a look here. If page for featured article in, that's where you need to. So this is a query set, a deferring related manager. Deferring, I believe, because, and related, well, deferring related manager, I believe this means it manages related, well, not documents, but related database entries, query results. It manages them, and it does so in a deferred sense, meaning it doesn't grab them all right up off the bat, but it waits until you do something with them. So it's just waiting until you count them or grab all of them. But until that, it's not going to do anything. Here we go, test. That worked, and we have the title there. Great. And this time I'm going to remember to link the title to the article. For that, there's a helper. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can look it up. I think it's just called page URL or something like that. Page URL? What is this URL? URL for the article. Article reference. View names. Okay. What happens? Am I going to get an error here? Yeah. So this is, it's treating this as a view. So the URL is not the right helper. Okay. I think this is a Wagtail core tag page URL, and they're not using quotes. I thought I typed PAGE. It didn't autocomplete that. Might mean I haven't imported it, but Wagtail core tags is here and Wagtail image tags. So it should have that page URL in this namespace. Auto completion, but there we go. Okay, so it worked. I'm going to go to featured articles section. with a girl with vision and resolve. And I'll commit that. Let me double check how it works with multiple featured articles. View live. Yep, works as expected. On this, we're actually showing teaser text. So let's go ahead and do that. There's a Django template tag. Let's see, I've got a number of these Wagtail tabs open. Truncating text. Is it a Wagtail specific? No, no truncate there. I believe we're just going to pipe this to the rich text and to the truncate text, truncate HTML. Let's see how it works out for the time being. And let's try truncating it to like 255. Well, if I truncate it to P, it's going to go to that paragraph no matter what. All right, so what is this? What field is this? It's the body field. We'll just do the same thing. We'll make a helper here. Property. Cool. Well, what we can do is in this, below the link, below the H3, we'll do a, I guess you just actually grab the field directly because it'll already have HTML. And to the rich text. And then to the no, oh wait, what's going on? Not here we go. Now those are auto-completing. Kind of like that, truncate words. 30 words. Let's see what happens here. Girl with Vision and Resolve has been published. For the home. View live. Okay, well, this is pretty good, actually. I think it looks nice. 30 words is a decent threshold for now. This is what I'm really liking. The batteries included experience with Python, Django, and Wagtail. It's just really nice. That things just work, and basically most of the problems I've had to solve have already been solved and have pretty clear instructions on how to do it. With just a little fiddling, sometimes I'll have syntax errors, but mostly it's been most of the problems I've had are relating to my not knowing what I'm doing, as opposed to like the documentation or a bug in the platform. Not to say things are perfect. There have been missing documentation, topics, and things like that. But yeah, look at all of these built-in template tags and filters. Just really nice. Okay. So yeah, we added the summary text, added the article body. I guess one more thing I can do as part of this pull request is just slight aesthetic thing, but put these side by side on the page here. We have basically a row, and two columns. So let's put that structure in place. So what we've got in the content, we're just showing the page body. This content is wrapped in base HTML is where it's defined. So if I look at this base HTML template, there's a lot to it, but essentially we defined this the content block, and we've put it in a Bootstrap container already. And notice here, quick tip, the nav bar is outside of this container, so that way we get this full width nav bar, and the text content is there. I should credit the what's his name, Victor Frias. He's a Django developer located in Helsinki. He writes the blog "Simple is Better Than Complex." And he's been doing a tutorial series for a while now, but on YouTube recently. And one of these here, just Bootstrap for Forms, I think. He showed that trick with the full width navigation. Also, this book, Two Scoops of Django, is really great. I'm reading through it kind of on my spare time on the train and whatnot. It's very insightful. It's got a lot of great advice and best practices. Well written. It's kind of described as a little bit more of an advanced book, but I'm not advanced by any means, and I'm enjoying it. So I think it's very good. Fluent Python. Yeah, so this guy's pretty cool. Vitor Freitas. He's located in Helsinki, original from Brazil. So yeah, simple is better than complex. Really good resource when you're along your Django learning journey. All right, so we got a basically a content block and a container. I'm not going to be working with models. So what we're trying to do here is inside this content block, put a couple of rows. As far as I understand, Bootstrap 4 layout uses a grid system still. And it's essentially a container with a number of rows and then columns. And you can define those columns as breaking at a certain device size or just generally it'll automatically subdivide it. So let's try that out. So we've got a row and a row. First row's got the body, page body. Come on. Work with me here. The second row has 2 columns. Let's say we call them medium. Why is that bright red? That was weird. It's because it's selected or something. And then the first column will show featured articles. And that is just a mess right there. In the second column, we will show current issue. And again, a mess. That can be at H3. All right, let's see how that worked. All right, so we flip the page order. We're on, this is less than a medium display, but now that we go to full width, now we see them displayed properly. Was that medium or small? Let me try. Oh, come on. Putting these down to small. Let's see if that was. Yeah, not so bad. At small, it's still readable. Current issues. One thing I'm not super excited about, but it's the way it is that to my knowledge, it's not easy to get Bootstrap to fill in this vertical space. And I was considering another CSS framework called Bulma that does that out of the box with just some kind of fancy classes, but it works and it's really nice. We decided not to go with Bulma, or I did mainly after some deliberation and reading, and just because Bulma seems to be one core developer and a few drive-by committers, but well, whereas Bootstrap had close to 20 people who've made substantial contributions in the last year, 2 main contributors. And I think that's, and then the documentation and things like that, and books that are written about Bootstrap. So if anybody's watching this and has a knowledge of Bootstrap 4 and how I can fill vertical space so that it just looks nice and tucked away, I'd appreciate that tip. And maybe if I find a recipe, I'll add that in a future date. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. And maybe even here. But I think most of it fills horizontal space automatically, but it's not designed to do vertical space. Maybe it's there. Bootstrap 410. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'll come back to that. I'll read more on this. Quite a lot of documentation there. I'll update that if that's the thing. Cool, but this is great stopping point. It's just this featured articles list is going to grow, and there's only going to be one current issue, and some maybe that's not a problem. All right, well, this has been about almost an hour and a half session. Checking my live stream timer. In any case, we can wrap it up here. I'll open just for the process to show you how this gets merged into the main code base. Now I've got these commits and it's looking decent. I can't think of any major, I don't see any glaring flaws. I opened an issue for that. But I'll leave it for later. Why not? Let's just do it. Okay. It's right. Where are we at? Featured current issue. So I'm just wondering if this would work. What it will look like. I should probably know what it would look like by now, but I don't. I'll probably end up wrapping them in separate anchor tags. This should work. I'm not sure what current issue refers to. I believe it's just reaching over there through a template helper. Oh, it actually worked. Right. But I don't want to put it inside of that. The H2 goes outside. And then the link. It actually works decently. Okay. That way the user can click on either the title or the article. So I've noticed my intuition is to click on the actual article itself. Okay, well, that's like a one-liner. Doesn't matter so much as long as it gets committed. And now we're going to push these changes. So we made a few commits today. Migrations, homepage, and models. It's going to prompt me for my password. Local SSH key. This is issue. Oops, not that one. Shift. Issue number 3. So it was one of the early ones. When I go to the front page here, well, maybe I will zoom out a little bit. Oh, man. Okay, that was a silly mistake. I had been working directly in master the whole time. It's kind of late here. So it's committed and pushed and merged. Luckily, I'm the only developer on this project right now. So we added the featured articles section to homepage and current issue on homepage. Not only can we fix that bug. Yeah, it's just not worth wrestling to get to roll those commits back and link them to a pull request and whatnot. Next time I will follow the process, and I have been following it at least in the last couple live streams. So lesson learned. And it's more important when you get in a project where there are multiple developers that everything is in a feature branch. As soon as you start working, just create that branch. And typically I'll do that. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching this live stream in retrospect on YouTube, where we're continuing to build out this website for Western Friend Magazine. Again, I want to give a shout out to Codebuddies. This is a really cool community. I'm really a big fan of the initiative. And I think that there's a group here for about everybody's needs and skill level and interests. And one thing I really appreciate about Codebuddies is everybody's teacher and learner. We all have something to share. So I hope to see you around one of these community channels or one of the upcoming hangouts where we'll continue building this website. Okay, if you want to get a hold of me, I can be reached on GitHub by, for example, this Western Friend repository, or you can comment on the YouTube video. And maybe someday we'll have we have a discussion forum here, and I'm also active on the Codebuddies discussion forum. Well, again, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.